G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder with Mags, and welcome aboard the La-5FN. So the intro to this video is going to be a little strange. I'm not going to go over the stats to the La-5FN, as this plane has been in the game forever. I'm pretty sure at this point everyone knows them. But I do want to address something, and I have addressed this before. Why some planes perform the way they do in War Thunder, or at least as a general rule. No flight model in War Thunder is perfect, but as a general rule, most aircraft at least capture the essence of what they were, and the La-5FN does. Where aircraft on the Western Front constantly strive for higher and higher and better high-altitude performance, due to the nature of the warfare on the Western Front, or at least the aerial warfare, which was constantly raised in altitude by improvements in firstly British and then later American bombers, the B-17, slowly pushing higher and higher and higher into the sky, increasing their bombing altitudes out to 30,000 feet. As a result, Germany had to improve the design of its fighters to increase their altitude and high altitude performance so they could intercept these bombers, which of course led to America and Great Britain changing their fighter designs in order to increase their high altitude performance, as they needed to escort these B-17s and intercept these fighters that were coming to take out the bomber formations. This situation never occurred on the Eastern Front. German bomber formations very rarely dropped from above 4 to 5 kilometers. Most German dive bombers and attackers operated at altitudes significantly lower than that. Russian aircraft favoured the high-speed ground attacker and the high-speed strike aircraft, the Peshkas, the IL-2s. These aircraft also operated at incredibly low altitudes, and this influenced Russian fighter design. They were all designed to be extremely powerful at low altitudes, and they were almost all designed with some level of turning capacity. Some were better than others, but almost every single aircraft had the capability. The Russian aircraft in War Thunder share this trait. So it still boggles my mind why people still choose to engage Russian aircraft in turning engagements at extreme low altitudes, especially when they're in aircraft that don't have to. So today's match is Berlin Alternate History. We are facing Britain and the United States. We are obviously flying as Germany. The team's fairly even mix. There's two P-51s, we've got some Typhoons, we've got some Spitfires on there. The Russian team has two PE-8s and the rest of the team basically consists of fighters. The British team has a Halifax and a BTD, and their team consists almost exclusively of fighters as well. We started off me getting my aim in. It's been about 6 months since I've flown the La-5FN. It took a little bit to actually take down the first P-51, and once I got used to the plane again, however, we managed to sort that out. So with the P-51 down, check 6, and we have a P-63 coming in. Just pull hard on the elevator, pull in underneath it, go straight through. Now, pull it straight back into the vertical. And what I'm going to do here is start to weave in a climb that'll force him to go past and underneath me, and then I can turn the plane in, use the altitude I picked up in that turn to re-dive and close the distance. Now I've got to pull the throttles back to 60% here in order to tighten the turn right up and bring it around. As I apex the turn, throttle back to 100%, and the P-63 gets taken out. So we turn back, we're looking at the P-51 now. And it was at this point I heard the engine note behind me. We have a Typhoon coming in from the rear. He's coming out of a dive, so he's got a lot of speed. So pull up sharply and then start a weave. This will cause him to overshoot. Now he's got a lot of energy at the moment. I will not be able to follow him in this climb. So reverse the turn and hard left in straight underneath him. I want him directly above me. This should prevent him from being able to roll straight over and dive back on top of me. At least not without risking hitting the ground at this altitude. Continue the turn through. Typhoon is going to get around sharply. It is being engaged by a 3P, but I see the P-51 coming in, so drop the aircraft back to the deck and begin a series of short turns. This is to throw off the P-51's aim. Pretty simple here. Pull the plane up sharply and begin a turn back. We want to reverse back over and begin to intercept the P-51. Now we're not going to be able to straight up catch it, but we'll be able to prevent it from opening too much of a gap, and hopefully that'll be enough to make him turn. If he turns, he dies. It's as simple as that. And sure enough, he makes a turn. He's going for the fight to the right-hand side, which we'll be going to in just a few seconds. We close the gap into convergence range. First burst to find my range. Second burst to execute the aircraft. And that's my second kill, two P-51s down. Next up, we have a Typhoon. And that Typhoon is the last fighter remaining on the enemy team. Now right now the Typhoon is directly above us and is in a shallow dive, so I just want to snake back and forth at the moment. I want to make myself a difficult target if he chooses to dive in. We make a very close crossover. I immediately reverse. Continue rolling the aircraft, go to combat flaps, and we're going to drop in right on his 6, nice and clean. Continue maintaining the speed, and as he pulls up into the vertical, shots in, and we execute our third aircraft. And that is the entire enemy team's fighters eliminated. The time from the first fighter-on-fighter engagement in this particular battle to that kill was 4 minutes and 11 seconds. That's how long it took for all the fighters to eliminate. Now at this point the enemy team still does have 2 aircraft up. They have an Halifax that's at high altitude and a BTD. The BTD is going to kill itself strafing out AAA guns, although to be fair it was going to get killed anyway. There were 2 yaks on it. And the Halifax is going to extend the match out long enough for me to fly back to base, land, rearm and get halfway back to the aircraft. So, once again, this brings me back to the question that I had to ask in the first place. Why are people still engaging Russian fighters that are designed for low altitude, high turning performance in turning battles at low altitude, in aircraft that are not designed for that situation? Now, the Spitfire pilots on the Allied side could be forgiven for doing this. This is sort of what their aircraft is built to do. But Typhoon 1B/Ls engaging in low altitude turn battles against yaks and La-5FNs? The P-51 pilots as well, although I can sort of understand getting that aircraft to altitude is a pain, but it is still an aircraft that should be taken to altitude and it should be engaging its enemy in high speed passes and slashing attacks, not turning engagements, especially not against aircraft that are designed for this kind of combat. This is actually the reason why Russian aircraft tend to perform well. There are some question marks with some of the flight models, and I'm not going to deny that in the slightest, but for the most part, Russian aircraft, even if their flight models were perfectly correct and accurate 100% to the real planes, would still kick ass in this particular environment, because this is exactly the environment they were built for. Engaging Russian aircraft in low altitude turning engagements, such as what you see here, is the equivalent of engaging a Zero in a turning battle in a P-51. Not only are you fighting an incredibly powerful aircraft, but you're fighting an aircraft in a way that it wants to fight, by its rules in the situation that it was designed to perform best at. So we'll call this one my public service announcement of the day. Don't do this. The P-51s and Typhoons that you've seen me shoot down in this battle can dive faster than the rip speed of the La-5FN. They can dive faster than the rip speed of the Yak. Take them to altitude, climb the back wall, dive in at high speed. You want to be diving on your target at 600 to 700 kilometers an hour when you pull the trigger. If you miss, do not turn back. People seem to remember the boom but forget the zoom. Zoom, climb back to altitude using the speed you gained in the dive, then turn back around and do it again. Do not play to your enemy's advantage or they will beat you every time. Anyways, ladies and gents, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Click like if you do, subscribe if you want to see more and you haven't already, and until next time, fly smart, fly safe, and I'll catch you in the skies.